Well, good evening, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Vernon. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Welcome to another Mike Coulter show.
Well,
So,
we've done a few. I hope we're giving some good information to the citizens of Escambia County. I hope they're learning something from our time together, Vernon.
well, Mike, I think there are. At least you know who learned something.
Me.
No,
You're gonna say you.
no, I'm learning. I'm learning something. I'm learning a lot of things. I'm learning a lot of things from you. Now, also, you know what else I learned, Mike?
What's that?
I just learned this week. When I learned that you got some funding for that
South Navy
your
Boulevard.
project South Navy Boulevard. Let me ask you this, Mike. I guess you're a Navy guy, and I guess with Navy guys, they look out. We look out for each other because out on the base there. I'm glad you decided to strip up that area there. That's gonna be your legacy. You know that?
Well, Vernon, it's bigger than me. And when I ran, and I think most people know I have a long history of service coming back and forth to Pensacola. And we bury a lot of people every week out at Brancas. I've been told 5 to 9 a day. I don't know about Sundays, but we have a lot of burials. And
Mm-hmm.
they heading out there, it's just falling apart over the years. And I went to, before Congressman Petronas got elected, I went up to DC with the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition, and we worked with several congressmen to get this authorized. And then when he got elected, he took the banner, and the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition worked really hard. Obviously, it was my idea, but everyone deserves a little credit. You can't take it. You need a lot of help, right, when you do projects like this.
Yeah.
And he got it through. And so last year when we did our legislative priorities, it's a state road, and it would have been unfortunate, it's, even though the project's in District 2, right? It's a regional project because we have people, if on the CONUS study, NASB, or what am I saying? The NASB study, the $4 billion, the base impacts Escambia County and 6.6 in the region. People work not just in District 2, they work from all over the region on NAS. And then we have people that are buried at Brancas from all over the region. So it's a sense of pride that, that I think that it has enormous support. I was worried, that the governor could potentially veto it, but no, I want to thank him, Representative Manny, for carrying the water, Senator Gates. Actually, Andrade helped us, Chris Dawson, our lobbyist. And there's a lot of other senators that I'd had conversations that just to, see if we could help get it over the finish line. But the governor signed it, and it's a big deal. So let's talk about the project for a second. It's about a $13 million project. So we've got over a third of the funding right now. We're going to take the $1 million, which we have set aside out of the Warrington CRA for the design.
Mm-hmm.
We've put in the paperwork to FDOT 3 to repurpose the lane. There's a requirement coming off the base. It's 3 lanes going in, so that has to be approved by FDOT 3. We don't believe there's going to be a problem with that. And then we're starting the design. We have to be at 30% design. So next year we'll put in some Department of War, Department of Defense grants through OLDCC and Defense Community Incentive Programs, DCIP and DIG. And that falls under a guy that works at the Pentagon. His shop, his name's Patrick O'Brien. This year they're putting out $230 million for projects around bases. So hopefully next year we'll get a substantial amount of additional federal money from the Pentagon. We have to go through the process, and then the county will come up with the rest. So it's moving forward, and it's going really well. And I can't be thankful enough for the county staff and Steve Opalinick and the base CEO are very grateful for this project. And it's going to happen. If I get reelected, it looks like it's. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to tell you, Vernon, this was HDR did the study, right? For this program, it was the most popular project they ever did in Escambia County. We had two
Really?
charrettes with over 120 people at each one, and the online participation, gosh, don't I think I don't. It was in the hundreds. I want to say it was 700 or 800 people that responded. But when they briefed me and they briefed the Board of County Commission, it was they've never had that kind of response, and it was overwhelmingly positive for the project. So that ought to share with your viewers and the people. This is a good project supported by all the neighborhood groups around the base. It's supported federally, supported by our state representatives. It's a very good project, and the county commission has been on board too. So we're gonna get it done. We got a few more things to get over the hurdle before we can get into. We got to do a little more grant work, and then the FDOT, but it's moving in the right direction.
When do you project groundbreaking?
Well, you always want to be careful of that, but so we're waiting until August to hear back from the Florida Department of Transportation on the repurposing. At that point, I was told by engineering they're going to start the surveying soon. After we get that back, we're going to go out and solicit for the design. So that probably is all going to happen within the next, hopefully, 60 to 90 days. The design could take I don't know exactly, but it's going to take a little bit of time to finish the design. Then we'll apply for the grant. So I think it could be about a year. Just to be honest, I think that's probably about the right time frame, give or take on each side of that, without any roadblocks that I see. But I don't see any. I've told you the ones that we're dealing with right now, and the areas that we're going after. So it's going in the right direction compared to a lot of these kind of projects that we do. So very optimistic that we're going to get the money, and it'll start hopefully within the next year.
If everything goes well, have you got a projection date on completion?
Well, no, after we get the design, that's too premature. So when the design gets done, they'll give us a timeline of milestones. So not being an engineer, I don't want to say yet, Vernon, because I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but we'll know that when the design is completed. So
wait, when you say that design, you remember you had this big old thing down at the community house with all. I thought that was the design phase when you had all the big pictures. What was that?
What most people don't understand. Everything's backwards. So you got to do a study to see even if it has conceptual ability, right? So that was the study portion, and you could argue how we do this. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's kind of the standard way government works. So that was the study portion to see conceptually what it would cost, give us some of this, and then you go into design. So the design will use a lot of what was put out in the study, but there's an opportunity to change. Let's say, well, we don't want to do the bike path here. We rather have this marquee there instead of here. So there's time to renegotiate some of that as we go into the design phase.
So the study phase was to see whether or not it was feasible.
Yeah, it's more like a feasibility study. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to say it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But I like what you presented with design phase. In that phase of it, you're going to be beautiful if everything works out as planned.
It's going to be great. Very patriotic. 2 marquees. We'll make a signature thing as you go on the base that will be patriotic. There's going to be a little park area there that the county owns, right on the right side there, and then there'll be all kinds of beautification, brick pavers. And then we'll have places to hang flags along all the access lighting. So it is going to be really, really nice.
Well, very good. Very good. All right. Well, we'll put a check mark by that and just see how that's going to come along. You got to get more grants and stuff like that. I know you got grant writers and putting in for.
We're moving forward. I've already had some of the conversations with the Pentagon, and we'll start moving that as soon as we get the FDOT repurposing, which that's just I don't want to say it's just an administrative hurdle, but that's something that we have to get done, and then we'll go immediately into the design. But that paperwork's already been submitted over to FDOT 3 there in Chipley. So I was told by Joy we should hopefully have something. She's going to wait till the August meeting and hopefully we'll have some feedback from that because that got submitted maybe in the last 60 days. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction.
Well, let me ask you this. I know Governor DeSantis, he approved the majority of your grant, but he held back $45,000 what was that all about?
$45,000. I'm not tracking Vernon.
Well, when he
didn't do
approved that grant, I guess he did it like a line item thing. So he gave you a grant for the Navy Boulevard, but something I thought I read
he held back on the EMS. That was 2.4 million. But he did sign Carpenter's Creek, which last year he vetoed, which I'm proud to support that project. It starts up in the northern part of the county, drains down through District 4 into Bayou Tahar. But the deal was last year that was vetoed. I've been on the Pensacola Perdido Bay Estuary Program. This is one of our projects that we've lobbied for, and he signed that. So that'll help us with our waterway cleanup as well. And so that was we got that through. So I wanted to say thank you for that as well. But what he did veto was the EMS 911, which was 2.4 million. And I don't know why that was vetoed, if it was the cost or what the underlying reasons were. I believe Representative Salzman was running with that, but I don't know why he vetoed it.
Okay. All right. So what's the next big thing in our district?
Well, that's a big one, but the firehouses are starting. So next month, the one in Lillian there, Myrtle Grove, we're going to have our temporary set up at 57th and Lillian. And then those designs we're using the prototypes that we've used with other firehouses in the county. Wes was sharing with me. And so we will start the one on Lillian Highway here very soon. So as soon as we do the temporary, right now that's over off of Massachusetts. They're going to move to a temporary with it's going to be portables and the fire trucks there. That will help with the ISO and some of the things we need just for proximity to be in the area. And then, so that's coming shortly, and that's going to be great news for the people in Myrtle Grove. And then Pleasant Grove will be the second one. We've got about 5 of these that we're developing, and so we'll basically do those in the county. One's off of Bower Road, and the ones out in, I can't remember where the 4th or 5th one was. The 4th one I believe is out in Commissioner Barry's district. I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, off Kingsfield Road. It's off Kingsfield. So that's the 4th one. And I'm sorry, my wife's doing something here. I know we're live, but she doesn't realize that I got to get her out of the screenshot. I love her, but I guess she wants to talk to you too, Vernon.
She wasn't to talk to me, but that's the beauty. That's the beauty of having live TV, Mike.
Yeah. Okay.
See how they made a mistake and hit a button they had no business. See, that's live.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
We don't get a chance to erase the mistakes. Like the real TV stations, they make all kinds of mistakes, but they have time to fix them before they put them on air. So, but
we're live. I don't know if she realized that, but that's okay. Hey, so the firehouses are a big deal, right? So I'm very happy about that. I mean, and then obviously, we're still working on. Well, we have the money that we're cleaning up a little bit of Bayou Chico. That was a $10 million basically hot sediment, but we need a lot more money to clean that up. I'll probably next year, hopefully the board will agree, and I'm going to reach out to the city to see if they would consider putting that as their legislative priority, because we split that with the city and the county, and that waterway needs a lot more attention. It's getting some. We're seeing some some progress there. We had bought some land over there off Old Coreyfield Road that basically it leaches it down into the Jackson's Pond, kind of gets some of the sediments out, and then that will drain down into Bayou Chico. And we're seeing some new salt, sea grasses and even some shrimping and stuff like that come in, which is good, but still needs a little bit of work. Oh, and you may not know this unless you've been on Brankus, but Suburban Lodge, the hotel that's been blight, they've started cleaning that up in the last 2 weeks. So I know a lot of people. I haven't
been over that way lately.
Well, if you drive by, they've cleaned up all the shrubbery. They've started to work on it. I think I don't know if I shared this on a previous show, but there was a developer out of Fort Walton, I don't remember his name, but they got a very substantial loan and has started to clean it up. And if they weren't going to by December, then they were going to have to pay the fines and we were going to abate it. But it looks they're moving forward. So I'm very, very happy with that. The other thing I wanted to share with you that got passed in the legislative session, and I don't know if a lot of people know this. I'm not a boater, but House Bill 1103 was the derelict vessel bill. And Robert Turpin and Chips and Tim and the folks at the Marine Advisory Committee and BioChico, they all we worked together to change that bill. Right now, you could have a derelict vessel out there basically forever, because they have to cite it. And they have, I think it was 45 days. There was only two different policing agencies. One was the sheriff and FWC. And this affects the whole state. So when I'd say probably as my time as a commissioner now, we've probably pulled out at least 15 derelict vessels between Bio Grande and Bio Chico. And we get state grants usually from that through FWC because a lot of them are just abandoned and then they go to the salvage yard. But that will help us when we have a derelict vessel to get it out of the water sooner. And the best way I can explain it to people is imagine you're going home and there's an 18-wheeler sitting on the road going into your house and it just stuck there for 45 days. We wouldn't allow that. And so that law needed to be changed with the state waterways, and they did it. And it came from Escambia County. And I'm glad the legislature, and we had a lot of help with FAC on that, the Florida Association of Counties. But that was a big leap in the right direction to clean up our waterways.
You cannot hold the owners of those vessels accountable like you do. A lot of
times, believe it or not, they scrape off the boat thing. You wouldn't believe all the tricks that happen. People just don't want the boats anymore, and they're not tagged, and sometimes they don't pump out their waste. And I've heard stuff I didn't even know about boating because I don't have a boat, but I was like, wow, I didn't even realize it. But for a lot of people that are boaters or care about water quality, which I do, then that's a big deal. And because our waterways, been living in Florida, man, if you're a fisherman, just a basic fisherman, off the bank or in a boat, or you like to eat fish, you want to have fresh fish that isn't contaminated, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big deal for anyone that just wants cleaner waterways. So I think I was really happy about that. Legislation.
You would think, though, Mike. I would thinking if it's just like code enforcement. If you leave your buildings abandoned and to rotten and just an eyesore, then the code enforcement folks can get you. Seems like to me with boating, the same thing. All those vessels should be registered to somebody somewhere by serial number and by something that they can't remove, right?
Well, a lot of them, I'd say the majority are. But what you just said, we have code enforcement in the county. And then obviously if it's something unlawful, the police department, the sheriff's department or the police department get involved. In the waterways, the only two people that can issue a citation is there's one officer that works for the sheriff that works with Robert Turpin, and there's 7 Florida wildlife officers in the whole county. And a lot of their work is, making sure people are, not catching the wrong size fish when you come off the boat. And I don't want to just say that, or you're poaching deer, so they're not focusing a lot on the derelict vessels as much, unless Robert's beating them up a little bit, and he can't issue those citations. I believe now he will be able to. So he's the Marine Advisory guy for the county, very knowledgeable, been around forever. Very smart guy on the waterways. We're fortunate to have him. I don't know when he's going to retire, but he's been around for a long time. He'll be a big loss when he decides to move on.
Okay. Wow. That's interesting. But I'm surprised with the scam. You only got 7 fish and wildlife officers.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. I don't think it's increased.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's not many, but But and then so we'll see on that. But some more good news is that after we get done with the fire station, we have 3 years. I don't know if we're going to talk about ballot 3, but the school board, we have that property at 57th and Lillian that we still are planning to build a library there in Morrill Grove. Now, depending on what happens with ballot 3, I don't know if the tax reform initiative, that could potentially hijack that deal, because I don't know how much you've been watching, but we could lose $43 million. Not this year, but in 27, and then the second year would be 70 million. Vernon, so let me give you some background on the county. In 2006, the millage was 8.9.
Right.
In 2007, it went down to 8. In 2013, it went down to 6.615. Last year, we lowered the millage to 6.6. So here's the deal. So yes, when the property appraiser comes out on homestead property, he can increase it up to 3%. That's basically a cost that it covers because concrete costs more. People want a cost of living increase. Maintaining parks is more than it was 20 years ago. But the county has not raised the millage in 20 years. It's only reduced it. And so I try to share with folks sometimes. I'm like, we've actually reduced on the county side your millage. Now, the fire assessment, the MSBU that everyone paid, that hadn't been renewed in, I believe it was 8 or 10 years. And we were taking over $10 million out of the general fund. That was, we can't keep doing that. And, because we have to pay for other things. We still need an animal shelter, $25 million. We're still working with TDT on the base center. We still got to fund all the constitutional. So when you look at what we're doing with the funds, now I'll be honest, there is always some waste in government. I worked in the government for 33 years, but I will tell your viewers unequivocally, I do not believe the Board of County Commissioners is wasting your money. I mean, you could pick and choose certain things, but I think we're pretty responsible and we went in the right direction, and we have the facts to show it. That for the last 20 years, we've decreased the millage. We've not increased it one time. So I just like to put the facts out there. But so I was with Senator Gates at a dinner a couple weeks ago, bunch of Republican women. And he got up, he was the guest speaker, right? And I liked what he had to say. He said, look, the state legislative body has passed this, and you'll get to decide if you want to pay property taxes on homesteaded property. You'll decide. And then he said, but you also need to have a very blunt conversation with your county commissioner on what you want to have cut. And I told him I'm going to bring this up because it's the fairest statement. I appreciate the way he presented it. I mean, I think I'm saying it pretty close to the way he did. But you know what? It's a service reduction bill because the state didn't do any offset. They put the burden on 67 counties, 377 commissioners. They put it on the ballot. We're going to have to hit you with the cuts. And I wish they would have done this a different way, but that's where we're at. And we'll see. It has to get 60%. It's the polling I'm seeing, it's not there. If you just say homestead, I saw a poll that said it was, but if it says if you're going to lose, public safety or anything like that, and homestead, it falls down to 56. And then if you ask, well, and then I can't cite this poll. I was told this at FAC in a group of people, and then they said if it was like you're going to lose maybe recreational services, maybe some public services, but you lose your homestead, it falls below 50%. So once people realize that there's a tax, there's basically a service reduction, or we're going to have to do a tax shift, and the tax shift, I'm not even prepared to say what to do until we get there, because we could increase the millage on commercial and non-homestead. We could increase fees. We could do MSTUs like they do at the sheriff's department. I don't know where we're going to go because but it's going to be a very serious and frank conversation that and some of this stuff we are mandated by the state to pay. Okay. So, and then I think, of the penny for progress, it's basically been known as the local option sales tax.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to be on the ballot too. So That's up. We're going to put it on the ballot in 26. The board's already agreed to that. It expires in 28. If that didn't pass, that would cut another 70 plus $1 million that basically goes for infrastructure projects in the county. For example, we don't have a stormwater assessment. Some of the things that we were paying for with fire trucks and all that because we didn't have an increase in MSBU. We did that, so we're doing good on fire because we hadn't really done a lot of firehouses, what we needed to do. So we're good on fire because that's a non-ad valorem. But the thing is, but other areas of the county, there could be some other issues. So I'm just trying to give you all the information. The voters are going to have to look at these things, and they're tough decisions because no one wants to pay more taxes. I don't either. But I also want to live in a community where the roads are paved, kids can go to the parks. We take care of our most needy. We have functional schools, right? And actually, the school board had a pretty good report card this time for Escambia County. Paul Fitzko told me it's the first time ever they'd been rated an A school. So that's big kudos for all the teachers and principals out there that are working real hard to improve those grades. I know a lot of people are happy about that.
I see Governor DeSantis also making an initiative that they're trying to improve the teachers' pay as well. And I think that's a good thing.
I saw that too. Yeah, when you look at the teachers' pay, some of these folks that are in public service, they're not making it. They're not getting rich, right? I mean, if you're making $45,000 or less, and teaching, you're not living in a mansion. You're it's hard to make it, and you're doing a good job, and you're trying to make good citizens for the future. So we should try to help those folks out if we can. I know everything's in competition. I mean, and in my position, you got to be careful because if you give one, then everyone wants more, and so these are tough decisions, but you want to try to help people out and have them have a decent life for what they're doing. And I agree with you. I support the teacher. As you know, my wife's a teacher, so I better be careful what I say.
Which school system she's in, Mike?
She's in District 2. She teaches at Sherwood. Yep.
She at Sherwood, really?
Okay. She taught at Warrington for 5 years, and then now she's over at Sherwood. So she was at Warrington Middle for a long time, and then she transferred over to Sherwood. She likes it there. This will be her second year there this year. So, yeah.
So where my buddy,
that's a good school, huh?
That's over there where my buddy Joe Herring live over in that neighborhood.
Does he live in Osceola area?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know Joe lived over there.
He doesn't live probably 3 or 4 blocks from the school over there.
Well, Joe's a good one.
Yeah,
proud veteran, and I enjoy being around him.
Yeah, I was talking to. In fact, I talked to Joe this morning, and we had the Tim talking to me, the proud veteran. We had the memorial service, right? Went out at Barranquez. And and I know what happens when we went to the parade.
I was there.
Yeah, I know you was there. And they was asking Joe, said, Joe, why don't you consider canceling it? Now let me tell you about our experience, okay? Mike, we have had some tremendous downpours when the parade came. Before the parade come, knowing I said, Joe, we need to cancel the parade. Joe said, nope. We in Vietnam. We didn't have any options to stop
shooting. We ain't training, right?
That's right. He said that we had monsoons in some of the western weather. This is the weather. The parade goes on, and for some reason, God smiles on him, and we always get a break during the parade. And I think y'all got a little break during the memorial services.
I pulled in there right as it was getting ready to start, and it was just stopping to rain. And then I remember that parade. That was I think the first year my first year in office, and I was down there with you guys, and we were set up there, and we did get a break, and then it kind of came through, but it was raining hard earlier. Remember that?
Yeah, but I remember one year though, Mike. I swear to God, one year it was torrential rain. I mean, all morning.
For the parade or for the Memorial Day?
No, this for the parade. This was for the parade. We're downtown the parade, same place. And it looked like, it poured down. And just about parade time, we got a break. We got parade is only like 30 minutes or 40 minutes long. we just got just enough break just when the parade, and we was broadcasting to WKRG and all from there. We were broadcasting it, and everybody had raincoats on and galoshes and everything. But just by parade time, it stopped raining. Okay, it didn't clear up, but it stopped raining. We went through the parade, and Mike, I swear to God, the very last float, or the very last entry might have been a car that went through the parade. The minute it passed by the review stand, the bottom fell out again. I said, Joe,
I
how
thought you were going
lucky
to say there was 2 rainbows.
the bottom fell out again. So we were just lucky. He lucky and how to time that stuff. I don't know, but and I asked him, I said, Joe, we shouldn't have ever been out here in the first place. He said, Vernon, when I was in Vietnam, we didn't have that option to quit. Nope, we don't quit.
Yeah, well, I get it. I mean, you know, the thing is with a lot of those things, people get excited to do them, their community events. And you hate to cancel them because
Yeah.
people put a lot of time into it. And
Well, not only that, Mike, not only put a lot of time, we had to put a lot of money in that thing. And some of that money is non-cancelable, non-refundable money.
Yep,
So I guess that would have had Joe sweating bullets.
Right, you know, and I get that, you know. So they're tough calls. I mean, you always want to public safety is the first priority, but at the same time, you know, if you can get through it and not get anyone injured, most people will say push on, you know, because you just got to look at the environment and see what you can do. But Joe, I'm glad to hear Joe is pushing on. It sounds like all the time.
Oh yeah,
Well, I've been down there at Memorial Day at the Veterans Park where, man, it was so doggone hot, man. I mean, everyone needed to be hydrated before we got out of there. Needed not me. One of the guest speaker this year fell out, and then the last 2 years, we had someone fall out from dehydration while I'm down there. I'm like, because you know it gets pretty humid.
I know.
But you know, he was a little bit older. He was a Medal of Honor. But he got through his thing and sat down, and he was dehydrated.
Wow.
But But yeah, you know, the heat, the rain, you know, even once in a while we get snow, man. I remember that 2 years ago. Never seen anything like that in my life here. That was crazy.
I have been, with the exception of one place I've been in my life. I lived up north. I lived in Cleveland for a little while. And I got a chance to see a little bit of snow up there for a little bit. And I've been around the country a little bit and into snow, Mike, but I've never seen any snow like we had a couple of years ago, except for one time. I got to go to Colorado Springs one time, and we got there, Mike. I'm telling you, I don't know what year was this, but when I got there, I'd never seen snow as deep. They had it was in October, okay, as a early snowstorm. It wasn't even expected. And we got there, that snow was hip deep, okay? I never seen snow like that in all my life. In fact, we got there just in time, but we couldn't do anything because everything was shut down as that snow was doing. I said, never seen so much snow. No, I didn't go out. No, I stayed inside.
No, I grew up in Colorado before I joined the Navy, so I'm very familiar with snow. But I've never seen that snow here like that.
Me either. That is as much snow. I guess you know it probably is a record. I don't think we ever had that much snow before in Pensacola.
I can't believe it. I took pictures of my house. It looked like 6 inches of snow in the front yard. It was crazy. You know, well, it took us 4 days to get out of that because you know we don't have any of that equipment for that here like you do in states where they get a lot of snow. So
yeah, that's true.
That was an outlier, but it was fun.
Mike, all of the things. Go
ahead.
You got some other thing. I know. I was thinking about, you know, these 4 years went by mighty quick, Mike. You know, you remember that? It's just I can't believe that. But you know, but you accomplished so much in that 4 years. Did you ever expect to being new to the board? That was your first time being elected there, right?
And, I was in the Navy. I'd never been in elected office.
How did you get so much accomplished being new?
I think, Vernon, that goes back to my jobs of previous 15 years in the Navy. You know, after I started getting Divo, department head, director, OIC jobs, you're managing a lot of things, lots of money. You're dealing with all kinds of people issues, both good and bad, people going through divorce, people, having family members die, giving people awards, going through a budget and dealing with every department. So, those skills you learn with just having different jobs, and that. And so I'd had over a decade of executive experience, working with lots and lots of people. My last job as Exo and Matsi was over 750 employees, 6 detachments around the country, $122 million budget. I mean, it was a big command. 8 detachments under NIST with water survival training. There wasn't a day that went by you didn't have something going on with a facility or a person or something, or having to get fit reps done or evals done or award boards done or, every board under the sun. It didn't matter if it was space utilization or awards boards or hiring boards or, anything, all those things that you do when you're in senior leadership. And so I had that background. So it wasn't like I didn't understand government, right? So once federal government, it's different than local, but process isn't that much different, right?
Yeah.
So that wasn't really hard, and working with the staff was easy for me to do that right away. Getting to align with the board to help you with some projects, though, that's tough because everyone wants their own projects, right? And you got to give and take, but we did. I got to thank my board members that have we've helped each other out. And they've been with me on some projects. And, there's been a couple times where, I voted against something. But, that's why you elect 5 commissioners. And 3 out of 5 of them got to work. You like them all to work together. But you got to get 3 of them basically to look at what we do as infrastructure. And the staff makes the recommendation. And believe it or not, I think we do pretty good. Now, there's certain things we disagree on, right? Certain things with legal fees, certain things with who should be paying for what. But I would say in the totality of, execution, we do pretty good. And, but people highlight, the outliers, because that's more sensational. It's, hey, man, they hate each other. No one hates anyone on the board. Don't believe that. I don't hate anyone on the board. I can only speak for myself. I may disagree with someone once in a while, but that's human behavior. I'm going to defend CRAs. I have a lot of poor districts in my district. I'm going to fight for them. I know Commissioner May's like that too. And I got to get my, one other commissioner to see that we, those are a value. They help some of our lower income areas and revitalization, and they've been good. They voted for me to get one in Myrtle Grove. Now, if the ballot 3 goes through, the CRAs will definitely be hurt. But so I think the board cares. They can see what's going on outside of their district as well. And so I want to thank them for that. And then Wes,
but that, I think that's one of the most vital, important points there, that you got a commissioner that can work well with the other commissioners. Because if you have one commissioner that's not willing to work with the other commissioner, you're not going to get anything done, even though you was elected in District 2. But still, you represent the entire county as a whole, okay? Because you got the county interest as well. I know you got your own little pet peeve for your district, but you just don't just make decisions only for your district. When you vote on projects, you vote for the project for the whole good of the community. And it's great to know that whether or not you agree or disagree with one another, that y'all are civil and you can at least make decisions. I've seen at times the board was really fighting against each other. Nothing got done. Okay.
Yeah.
But now that you got commissioners,
confrontational at times.
Yeah, it can be confrontational at times. But now, even though you can agree, right now that you can disagree on certain things, but at least you all can come together. This board, in my opinion now, this board that we've been had over the last 4 years really worked pretty good together, okay? You're not going to agree on everything. You work pretty good together.
Vernon, And I'll tell you this, there's times when I disagree, but I look at it like, a slaughter board, when you're going in and you have to grade sailors or Air Force
Yep.
people, who gets the
Yep.
EP, who gets the MP, and everyone has passion. And then you got to look at the nitty gritty and like, okay, well, this person's done a little bit more than that one. When
Right.
you leave there, there's always someone's feelings hurt. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter, no matter what. Someone feels their guy or gal should have got ranked higher. And
Yeah.
you know this.
Yeah. I
And
know that.
and for me, that's how I treat a board meeting. If once in a while something doesn't work my way, well, we'll come up, we'll go with the next time. I gotta let that go, right?
Yeah.
I
Let it
was on the
go.
losing end, and you got to move on, and I really do. And
Yeah.
I think my colleagues can see that with me, that I don't hold grudges. I deal with one issue at a time. If I'm with you, I'm with you. If I'm not, I'll explain why and move on down the road. And I think people appreciate that kind of honesty, even if
Yeah.
they're, if you're on different sides sometimes. But
Yeah.
I feel like you do. I don't think, I mean, if you read some of the social media, you would think that the board's in this constant conflict. It's just not. It's just
No.
not. I just don't see it. But, sure,
Well,
there's
Michael, you've
times.
been in this community as long as I have. I've seen functional boards and I've seen some dysfunctional boards at the county. And I'm telling you, you guys right up there with a very functional board. I can tell you that right now. And I've
Well, I
never seen.
appreciate you seeing that and noticing that, because I feel the same way. I mean, I know we're having an issue with the clerk right now with public purpose. I don't think we wanted that fight.
Yeah.
I think we would have liked to work for common governance with the clerk, but that'll pass too.
Well,
It'll
well, let
pass.
me ask you this, Mike. I know that y'all's enjoying the sign on to a lawsuit, and it's sad it got to that point. But for many years, the clerk didn't have any issue with that. Why would it change for
No.
hard? You have any idea?
Well, her and I've known Pam since 2011, and it's really unfortunate we got here. When I was chair, I worked to change it to community support, tighten up what she wanted in the paperwork, and then she paid these discretionary funds for 12 years, and then
Right.
the community support funds. It wasn't like this was something new, to the tune of 1.5 million. And then she just decided she was going to basically decide all government funds and not respect the board, what is public purpose. And so there was an impasse. I wanted to work with the clerk. No, whatever happens in the lawsuit, she wanted the lawsuit. We didn't want the lawsuit. She told me that at the state capitol we'd have to sue her. I told her, I don't want to sue you. I'd like to work with you.
Right.
But that's what she wanted that. So unfortunately, this is where we are. The county's not paying anything out of county dollars. She's got an outside attorney. She has an attorney over there, and we're talking, $7,000. This is, and you can argue if you decide a food bank's public purpose or not. That's legit. You could argue if kids learning golf or not. You could argue paying girls, the Escambia County High School girls and went to state championship is public. All that's legitimate, right? But if 3 out of 5 people, in my opinion,
Right.
on the board vote for public purpose, then the clerk should pay it, unless it's
Right.
something like, Vernon, I'm giving you a country club or yacht club membership
Yeah.
or a special gym membership or something along that line. That's illegal, because that doesn't help the greater good for more than one person. So I don't know why we're here. I wish we weren't, because I really think this is a lot of political theater. And and when you look at the city council gets 25,000 per member, they represent like 7,500 people. The mayor gets 50,000. Santa Rosa, I believe, gets 25,000. There's counties and municipalities all over the state that have different functioning abilities to do this. Some don't even have to have a vote. And I was at FAC talking to a county commissioner. Was it Osceola? They got rid of their community support funds. Let's say, like United Way or Humane Society, or whatever they had. I don't know which ones they have. And they said, we're just going to let each commissioner have $250,000 and they can give to those. We give about around $800,000. A lot of it's to community health, but some of it's to veterans groups.
Right.
Some of it's to veterans groups. Some of it's to the wildlife sanctuaries. Some of it's to the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition. All these things you could argue, are they for public purpose? I'll tell you right now, the Northwest Defense Coalition is the best doggone $100,000 we give to. We got $15 million last year for 100,000. That's a good deal. That's a really good deal. We would not have got that without lobbying with the Northwest Florida Defense Coalition with Santa Rosa and Escambia. So you could say, well, that's a waste of money. Well, I don't know if we get $12 million for the hangar, and then Santa Rosa's lobbying for stuff. Well, the Herbert, I know that's outside of them, but a daycare center, and they're doing something that they want to do with purchasing some land like we did on Bower Road. So there's a lot of good that can be happening from some of these things. We just got to make sure people understand the whole story of what we're doing, so it's transparent.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah.
When you get re-elected, what's on store for the next 4 years? Give folks the idea. You did a lot of things in the last 4 years. Well, I know we're going to re-elect you for another 4 years, but I want to know what's on the agenda for the next 4 years.
Well, I missed so many things that you didn't
to vote for you.
But let's talk about what we did do. We did a lot of road resurfacing. I don't want to mention all the roads, but we had a ton. We did Bio Grande stormwater. We finished up Beach Haven stormwater. We did Perdido Estates stormwater drainage. We did White Island, $35 million around the base. We did all kinds of new parks. We put in a disc golf at Lexington Terrace. We reopened the community center. We did a dog park. We're getting a new park out at Perdido Kids Park, Perdido Key Park. Yeah. We put in a pickleball at Lexington Terrace. We got Navy Point Park to be not be able to be a park for perpetuity without 5 votes. We resurfaced the Navy Point parking lot. I mean, I'm just thinking of all the things that we've done, not including the South Navy Boulevard. We've done a lot, but
don't forget. Don't forget, you put new equipment in my little park in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah, we've done. I can't even mention them all. We did it at Era Vista. We did it at Lakewood. We did it at Lexington Terrace. We're doing Perdido Key and your park. And I know I'm missing some, but we've done a lot of stuff with parks. And then, the other thing is, so what do you want to do? Okay, we already got the things in to get the firehouses. I want to see those finished, right? They're moving forward. I'd love to see the library come in. South Navy Boulevard's moving in the right direction. If I get reelected, all 4 of those things should happen. Unless the ballot reform, that could affect the library. I got to be honest. I would love to see Gulf Beach Highway from Navy all the way to Theo Bars Bridge be done. I believe we will get from Theo Bars down to Blue Angel Sorrento. The rest of that road is ranked 14th and 15th. It'll be close. Depending on how many projects, that'll be on the low end of my priorities, but that'll be there. I'd like to see more money go into BioChico for remediation, okay, because we need to clean that up. And that's a good start, and those are probably 5 priorities that I'd like to get done. I think I can get 4 of them done if I get reelected.
I think you will get them done, Mike. You a can-do kind of a person. I think you will get them done once you get reelected again. But let me ask you this question. I've been intending to ask you this. You were a Navy man all of your life. Before you got into politics, was politics anywhere on your agenda?
No, man. I didn't come from a political family. I had half the family was Democrat on my mom's side. My mom was an independent. My dad was a Republican. My great grandmother and grandmother were Republican. But we never talked politics. It was so weird. I really don't know how when I got an officer commission, you went to officer indoctrination school, and this was back when I was like 22. They said, "Oh, you got to read the paper and know what's going on in politics." Like any, and I delivered papers as a kid, so I started taking an interest just in issues, right, that I never really had before. And I like to read. I used to love to read the paper, right? When you open it up, now everything's online, but I used to love reading the paper. No one reads the paper hardly anymore like that. But I used to love reading that paper, and I folded them. I'd always have that ink on my hands as a kid. And and then when I went to OIS, I'd get a paper several times a week or read what was around, and I just tried to see what was going on in the area, right? And then eventually things would trigger your brain like, oh, that's great, or oh, that's terrible. Why'd they do that? And I think all of a sudden I started saying, well, who does this? I mean, I could solve this problem here, or I could figure this out with the right people. And and that didn't happen overnight, Vernon. There was no epiphany that said, hey, today I want to be a politician. That was never how this happened. But I think as I got more senior and the bigger assignments in the Navy, and then I got involved in watching politics at the local politic part, the Republican Party. But I have problems with a little bit of everything. I want to be careful because some people will be offended no matter what you say. But I don't know if I like super majorities. I'm not sure the best bills come out of those. I lean conservative, obviously, that. But the thing is, I think that we need to have more common sense people that care about each other and that will work with each other. And I really believe that. And the people I represent, I have the most diverse district out of all the commissioners. I have the least amount. Yeah. I mean, when you look on political affiliation, Lumen has more Democrats, right?
Yeah.
I have about 6,000 more Republicans, but when you add the Democrats, the MPAs, and others, there are more of them. I'm the only commissioner that has more of them than everyone else. And so there is a majority Republicans. There is a majority, but compared to the rest of the commissions, like 3 of them have super majority Republicans, especially 1 in 5. District 4 has about 10,000, I think it is more. Lumen has about, he's the second. He has about 9,000 more Democrats in his district. But I understand what I represent. I know the diversity of having both lower income neighborhoods and then having middle income neighborhoods and then having higher income neighborhoods like down at Aragon and some of this. So when you represent someone, you should really represent everyone, no matter where they are. And I always told people, I don't care what I was walking in Brownsville today. I had 2 people come to their door with guns. They told me I should be walking. I said, look, I'm your county good. And they were nice. But I said, I ain't worried about that. They thanked me for coming to their door. Charles was with me, but they were surprised. They said, I've never
probably when they got the gun because they saw Charles with you. Charles looked like a criminal, so
Charles is the threat. Oh no, he's my buddy.
Well, that's my buddy Charles. I can't say that. I can say that about him because we are buddies.
No, you can ask him. I told him that guy's packing a 9mm, and then another lady had one at her door. And I mean, I said, I get it. Yeah, you want to protect yourself, and they were glad. But I've had multiple people. But I like to walk doors, and I've had people say, especially this time, because I'm getting away. I'm over 3,600 doors I've hit this time already.
Wow.
And people said, I have never had a commissioner come to my door or any elected official, and you've been here twice. And I said, well, I try, but I can't hit every door. I can't hit every door, but I hit a lot.
But I think that's the right approach. And I think that if politicians want people to vote, they need to ask for them. Sometimes people just take people's vote for granted. And sometimes the only thing you got to do is ask for it, and people will glad to vote for you. Just to ask for the vote and appreciate it. Yeah.
Vernon, what I usually ask them, I introduce who I am, and I said, look, is there anything I can help you with? And a lot of people say, I don't even know what you do, but I've heard about you and I like you, or, I haven't had a handful of people upset with me. And the ones that are, it's usually because like Gulf Beach Highway, and I have to explain the TPO. And then after they understand the process, they're like, okay, they look at it differently, right? When you have the facts, when you're armed with facts. Doesn't mean that they're not upset about it. But I tell them, you could fire me today, and that would not change the way this process is. Yeah. Because it's a state road. It's not like a county road or a park or a pothole or something like that.
Yeah.
But so I feel pretty good that that I don't have a lot of haters in my district, because I've hit enough doors and I just don't have it, So I'm grateful that it seems that most of the people in my district are happy. I put up a lot of yard signs. You've probably seen yard signs, road signs, and billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking hundreds and hundreds. I don't know if I'll put up quite as many this time. I'm over 900 yard signs already though, which is a lot.
Do you guys? I hadn't seen a lot. You had to name names, but you got a competitor are you gonna? Are you just waiting to the?
Well,
I do. Are you
I
waiting
got
till the
one
general election?
Republican and one Democrat. The Republican, he's gonna say he lives in Escambia County. I don't really like giving him a lot of airtime, but he homesteads in Gulf Breeze. He closed down an apartment over off Fairfield, but he doesn't live there. He lives on the water in Gulf Breeze, and I think a lot of people are on to that. But
Yeah.
and he's got to decide what he runs on roads and smears me, but that's politics. That's what politics
Oh yeah,
is.
yeah. That's part.
But
That's part of the game.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'd rather not get into that. I rather just focus on what I need to do for District 2 and the people and do that. And then I've only had one debate with Matthias, the Democrat, and I don't know him that well. He's a decent. He seems nice enough to me.
Yeah.
As a person, I just don't know what he's running on. We had one
Yeah.
debate, and I'm sure if I win the primary, we'll do some more debates. But
Yeah.
you may want to reach out to him and see his side, Vernon. But here's the thing: we need to be cordial, respectful, and tell the truth. Tell the
Right.
truth.
Tell the truth. Right.
Because there's a lot of stuff that goes on out there that's sensationalized. And I tell people that time, just call me, and I'll give you a straight answer. And you may not like it, but I'll tell you exactly why I voted. Or if you have a question about something you've seen, call and I'll give you a straight answer on it, why I did something. And sometimes I make a mistake, Vernon, and that's okay too. You just own it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, and it's okay to make a mistake. As long as you learn. My grandmother used to tell me, son, it's okay to make a mistake. Just learn from your mistake. If you don't learn from it, it's a problem, but you learn from it. Mike, we got 1 minute. You want to go ahead and wrap up and tell us?
Yeah, Vernon, for your voters, I want to just say thank you for listening tonight. Time's a valuable thing. You could be watching FIFA soccer or whatever's going on, but but here's the deal. I promise this to you. I will serve you. I will work for you. I will do what I can to make our community, not just District 2, but all of Escambia County better. I'd love to have your vote. If you have a question, call my office, 595-4920. We will, there anything we can help you with, we will. If not, we'll advocate if we can. And Vernon, as always, I appreciate you having me on your show.
All right. Well, no problem, Mike. And good luck in your campaign, okay?
Okay. Talk to you soon, friend.
All right. Thank you now.
All right.